Welcome to Torah Smash, the podcast for nerdy Jews, where our lives of Jewish learning collide with our love of nerd culture. In each episode, we discuss what we lovingly call a Torah Smash, which we have defined as a beautiful collision of one thing from the world of Judaism with another from nerd culture. I am Barak Malkin, and joining me today are...
Ethan Lane Miller.
RDY.
Hi, friends.
Hello.
Hi, Barak.
So, we're at the end of August as we record, but at the end of July, we got Marvel's newest movie, Fantastic Four: First Steps.
Oh my gravy. Ethan, have you seen it yet?
I have.
Yay.
Good. I was hoping you did with your camp summer over. I was hoping you were able to squeeze it in.
I will spoiler alert for the episode coming out in a little bit. I haven't seen Thunderbolts yet. That's out on Disney Plus in 2 days from when we're recording.
Oh, no.
Oh, okay, that's fine.
But you know what? From when this episode comes out, you'll have a whole month to see it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
So
I've read up. I'm ready.
So don't listen to 2 episodes from now until
I know. I don't want to spoil myself. Yeah.
So, similar to that, for those who haven't seen the new Fantastic Four movie, this episode is going to be loaded with spoilers. So, the movie is set after the team already got their individual powers. It gives us sort of a montage of their origin story, even showcasing some of the classic villains that they've faced to protect the world. And the movie itself starts off by letting us know that Sue and Reed are going to be parents. And shortly thereafter, Earth is visited by the Silver Surfer, Herald of Galactus. And when the Fantastic Four seek out Galactus, he demands that they give up their child in exchange for Earth's safety. I would say that they struggle with this decision, but they are pretty firm throughout that they won't give up their baby to Galactus.
Yeah,
So,
not much of a struggle.
Yeah, no, really. So with that synopsis in mind, what Jewish story will we be smashing with this Fantastic Four film?
Okay. I have a guess. Does it involve child sacrifice?
It does.
Does it involve splitting a child in half?
No, it does not.
Oh.
Is it Abraham and Isaac?
It is. Yes, for this episode, we'll be taking a look at the popular story in Genesis called Akedah, or more commonly known as the Binding of Isaac. So we already went through if everybody's seen it, which I'm glad that we have, because this theme really comes in about a third of the way through the film. And so while the Fantastic Four's concept of like family bonds and all those pieces are woven throughout, this theme of parental sacrifice sort of guided a lot of the other B-story elements of the movie. So both Reed and Sue, and also with the Silver Surfer, with her background. And in the Torah, Abraham follows God's request without question. Abraham acts from faith in God's plan. But in the movie, Reed and Sue resist Galactus and are responding in fear of Galactus. So my first question, I think that both of them are facing great uncertainty, and I'm in no way comparing Galactus to God, but why do you think both entities want them to take on the choice of sacrificing a child?
I have studied the Akedah a little too extensively to come up with the same answer I would guess that you're looking for.
I'm not, there's no wrong answer. I don't have any answers, just questions.
I believe that Abraham failed God's final test and that God wanted Abraham to react the way Reed and Sue did. And because he didn't, because God says, sacrifice your son. And Abraham just goes, okay, like no questioning, no wondering if maybe he should get something else. And this is considered by many of the rabbis of the past to be the 10th of Abraham's 10 trials. And I believe that when testing someone, if they pass all of your tests, you don't know what their limits are. You need them to eventually fail or do something wrong so that you know where they need to improve. You know who they are as a whole person. So I believe that God stopped testing Abraham, not because Abraham succeeded at this test, but because Abraham failed and was willing to sacrifice his son without arguing.
I've never heard that take.
I love that interpretation.
Well, thanks.
And that's the last, right? He doesn't have any trials after that?
Not ones that are considered part of the 10 trials of Abraham. No, like not testing by God in this way. But it ends up badly for both Abraham and Isaac. I mean, Abraham is told once to go sacrifice Isaac, but has to be told twice to stop. Like he's got the knife in the air, and the angel shouts, "Abraham, Abraham!" Like, no, don't. And in that read of this, they never speak again as father and son. And oh, by the way, they only ever have really one conversation in the entire Torah. It's on their way up the mountain to sacrifice Isaac, and they're just quiet on the way back down. Sarah dies almost immediately after, and they don't talk to each other. Isaac doesn't even participate in Sarah's burial.
That's interesting. I wonder if the story had been written differently, where Abraham did react like Sue and Reed. I wonder if it would have had a deeper impact for parents, because as a parent, you grow up hearing the Akedah as a child and you're like, okay, full faith in God, I get that. As a parent, you go, I don't get it. You just say
Yeah.
yes. You just say yes right away and I'll do it. I'll get rid of the child that we've been trying to have for so long. I can't understand it and now as a parent.
There are some
someone who's
other,
not a parent. I also don't understand it.
Okay.
yeah. There are other things to consider, including the fact that Abraham does have another child in Ishmael.
True. Still, like if somebody said, no, just one of your kids.
Of course, not something that we would do. The argument that I always used to hear is that the mindset back then was you sacrifice your firstborn and you would get more, like the first fruits of your crops and that kind of thing. But that still doesn't jive with me. It just doesn't make sense with the not arguing.
Yeah, agreed. So which do we think there's like a healthier response of Abraham's loyalty to God and Reed and Sue's loyalty to family?
Say it again.
Do we think one of those is healthier?
Oh, Sue and Reed for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's I know I just said it made sense, but like it's certainly tough when you're going up against a near omnipotent being. Like I certainly understand the mathematical argument, one life for billions.
Yeah.
But also, I think that's what makes us humans, is understanding the value of that one life.
Well, it's fascinating that we're saying that as we raid Abraham and Isaac, we don't fully understand how Abraham could have made that choice. And yet, however, so many New Yorkers gathered around the Baxter Building to say, how can you do this? Like, give up your child, save all of us. Right? Which is essentially the same choice that Abraham has, is sacrifice your child so that everybody can see the faith in God is strong. Like, I think that's sort of part of the message there.
Well, what about that is showing anyone anything? There's no one else up on the mountain.
No, but for us, for storytelling.
I think there are much better ways to tell that story.
Right. No, but still, the fact that the New Yorkers, until Sue talks to them, are full in for, throw the baby out with the bathwater, and still can't. Many of them, I feel like, are parents and are still like, kill the baby, save the earth.
Throwing the baby out with the bathwater, I think, is not the metaphor, because
Not the right phrase.
they're throwing the bathwater out with the baby because the baby is what they want to give up.
Oh, okay.
But that's okay. But I think there's the Jewish idea that every life is worth the entire world.
Mm-hmm.
There's
in this case, it is.
In this case, it is. There's the self-preservation idea of the train.
Yeah. The
trolley problem.
Yeah.
The trolley problem is the one where there are 4 people on one track and one on the other.
Yeah. Yep.
And I just saw a TikTok of a kid moving, like a dad is like, which way should the train go? Should it go to the 1 or to the 4? And the kid moves the 1 on top of the other 4 and then barrels the train through a funnel.
That is an interesting solution to the trolley problem.
But the trolley problem, I think, applies here because, are you going to save one for everyone or everyone for one. But as superheroes, you have to try and put everyone on the other track and go on an empty track, the opposite of what the kid did in the TikTok video.
Yeah, there was a part of me while watching the movie that couldn't understand why there was no faith in the Fantastic Four after all of the other villains they had defeated. Granted, nobody nearly as large or menacing as Galactus, but they didn't even give them a shot. I guess they did when they
Yeah, they
left
did.
when they left to go find Galactus and they came back empty-handed saying he's going to kill us.
Right. They had already failed.
Yeah, okay, true. Never mind, true.
Can I also say that when I came out of this movie, I was euphoric. I was so happy that Marvel had made a movie that I absolutely loved. And were there issues with it? Of course.
Yeah.
It's a movie, so there are always issues. But I thought it was a fantastic, pun intended, foray back into the MCU.
Foray, was that also a pun?
Foray was a pun.
Oh, nice.
A fantastic foray.
Excellent. All right. Well, in both stories, the child is the like a symbol of the future. Isaac symbolizes the continuation of the Jewish people, and Nathaniel represents both the legacy of the Fantastic Four and their survival of humankind. And there are many stories that place young children as sort of like the embodiment of the future when the child can't even talk yet. What do you think these stories are trying to say?
I think they're trying to say, I mean, not that I'm this come off very biased, because I think what I'm going to say is it's trying to say the thing that backs up my point, that this is what it means to live as a human. Like, what sort of society, what sort of a people are we if we are willing to sacrifice a child? Like, we might be alive still, but what sort of society is that? What sort of culture is that?
So you're saying the movie, in a sense, rejects child sacrifice much in the same way Genesis does.
Yeah, I mean, it's a bold claim. It's a bold position, rejecting child sacrifice these days. But I would say I would take it like a couple levels up, because like there's the base level, like, yes, we're not sacrificing a child, but I think it's a bigger commentary or observation or assertion of like what we want to do as a society, the sort of people we want to be. And like, these are superheroes. Ideally, we're supposed to both strive to be superheroes and see reflections of ourselves in them.
Yeah. And I think Fantastic Four took it a step further at the end with Nathaniel bringing Sue back to life, of like literally creating more of the future for the world by eliminating death in that instance.
Eliminating death?
Well, for Sue, like she was dead and then she wasn't. So
So
he has the ability to change that. So it showed us this, that essentially the children have this, and you know, the Incredibles did this too with Jack Jack, of sort of this statement of babies not fully developed, like have the potential to do anything. Right. And I think there's this element of that with the children being the center of these sacrifice stories, of there is potential there that is not yet realized, and it could do wonders for the rest of the world.
it should also be mentioned that like Franklin Richards is the
Oh, am I saying Nathaniel this whole time and it's Franklin?
I was like, did you say Nathaniel? Yeah, it's Franklin.
Was it Nathaniel in the comics?
No, it was Franklin in the
Where am
comic.
I getting Nathaniel Richards from?
I don't know, but Nathaniel was the name of Hawkeye's baby at the end of Endgame.
Okay. Nathaniel Richards is Reed Richards' father, and Franklin is the son. My bad, everybody. I'm so sorry. So I'm not going to go back and edit all my Nathaniels. Just know I was wrong. Sorry about that.
You're not going to edit out
All of those? I'm not going to worry about that.
Didn't you only say
Listeners,
it
you're not going to worry
twice?
about that, right? You'll
Didn't
just
you
be
only say it twice?
maybe. It's enough.
Okay. Well, our listeners will be kind.
Sorry. I meant Franklin, everybody. For those who didn't watch the movie,
They forgive you.
they changed the name halfway through.
Uh-huh. It was.
Mhm.
Anyways, Franklin Richards has long been known to be the single most powerful being in the MCU.
Yeah.
Meaning, were he older, he probably could have taken on Galactus, which is probably why Galactus wanted him so badly. Well, no, probably about it.
Yeah, well, Galactus wanted to end his was seemingly suffering, and and not Nathaniel, and that Franklin was like the only being he said who'd be able to take his place and become the new devourer of worlds.
Right. Can we also shout out the Silver Surfer for a second? Because,
Yeah.
oh man, I was so happy that they did the Shalabal Silver Surfer,
Mhm.
and so much more happy to know that it was Julia Garner, who, as a big fan of Ozark, I was thrilled to see her in a totally different role with
And
no.
Herald me any day she wants.
Wow.
Does that mean like you would send her ahead of you? Be like, just so you know, restaurant, Ethan's going to be arriving soon.
Yeah, no,
I'm
I went.
the herald of Ethan. I'm just letting you
Yeah,
know.
yeah, I went to HEB to get my groceries earlier. It would have been nice to have someone like go ahead of me, like
Yeah.
maybe 10-15 minutes, do the check-in. So at the time I like pull the car in, it's already there ready. Like that. It's really what I want.
Right? What a fit.
I am the herald of ELM.
What a fascinating life that Galactus has. I didn't think about it that way. Like he's running errands, eating meals. If we all had people going ahead of us to just let the places we're going know that we're coming, it's kind of crazy.
It would be more like going to tell the chickens that you're going to eat eventually. Say,
Yeah.
yeah, hey, the farmer's coming and you're going to become nuggets and they're going to Ethan's
Yeah.
house.
Yeah. Hug your chicks, everybody.
Yep. Hug your chicks.
Well, you said so. Shalabal was the wife of the original Silver Surfer.
Correct.
Did she ever have her own Silver Surfer story, or is this the
Ever?
first? Yeah.
I don't know, but
Okay.
I was just happy to see her named as such. Yeah, Norrin Rad was the original Silver Surfer.
Yeah.
Let me do a quick. Okay, so since Fantastic Four First Steps is set in a different Earth,
Right.
it could be that's why they went with Shalabal instead of Norrin Rad.
Okay. Cool. Whatever. Yeah. But according to your search, no comic story with her as the Silver Surfer.
I'm working on it.
Something else that I like between these two, we sort of talked about it a little bit already, is I like the connection that both of these stories have with this last second rescue in the sacrifice scene, right? The angel's call stops Abraham when the knife is raised up, and the Silver Surfer jumps in to rescue Franklin. But, what does it sort of mean when the heroes of these stories or ancestors are tested with these impossible choices that sort of pit family bonds against some bigger mission? And do you think we judge them more by the choice that they make or by their willingness to face the test at all?
Well, I mean, these are, I think, two stories because Abraham, well, I guess let me back up. We believe the angels intervened because Abraham had committed.
Right.
Like the neuron had fired. He had committed that he was going to do this.
Right.
The Fantastic Four hadn't. They were still trying to have their cake and eat it too.
Right.
They were trying to replace the baby with the ram without Galactus knowing about it, just like Isaac was not sacrificed and the ram was sacrificed in his stead.
Are you talking about the fake out?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I was talking more about when the Silver Surfer swooped in and last minute knocked Galactus back into the portal.
I'm struggling to remember why she did that because I saw it like a month ago.
So I was talking more about, right, Sue, with her incredible power, pushed Galactus into the portal, and then he
Right.
pushes back through, and Johnny's like, tell Franklin, his uncle loves him sort of thing, and rushes forward, but then the Silver Surfer knocks him out of the way and pushes Galactus himself with this like final rescue just
I
before.
remember all that. I just don't remember why she did it.
She did it because Johnny reminded her of the choice that she made on her planet.
By learning her language and caring enough to learn about her before.
Right, that you lost your entire world. Like you don't have to let that happen to somebody else, sort of messaging.
Right.
Well, so anyway, many movies have this like last minute, the bomb timers at 1 second, all these like final last minute rescues. And as much as the question I had was about the, facing these challenges, that's really a big piece of tension and storytelling. So I think we can continue on. And the last piece that I really want to talk about was a potential topic for this one. So I'm leaving some extra time for this one. Is that this was the first Marvel movie to have Judaism on full display. We've had it in some of the TV shows. We had it in Moon Knight. We had it in WandaVision. This is the first movie that really has it on full display, right? We had Sabra in Captain America
Kind of.
but not, there was very little Judaism in that
Being
movie.
Jewish was
No.
not a part of her.
Being Israeli is not part of the
Yeah.
Jewish, like what we're talking about here.
Right. It was, and she was nerfed. They're like, yeah, born in Israel, but don't worry about it. Black Widow.
Yeah, yeah. So we won't dive all the way in, but here's what we'll talk about. So if you haven't seen it, Ben is falling in love Ben Grimm, the Thing, in this movie is falling in love with a Jewish school teacher, I think.
Yeah, Rachel Rosman.
Yeah, Rachel Rosman, played by Natasha Lyonne, who in real life is the daughter of Orthodox Jewish parents. And there's this theory that states that Ben and Roz are a nod to Jack Kirby and his wife, because the Thing is widely considered to be like an avatar of Jack Kirby, and his wife's name was Rosalind, who everybody always called Roz. So to have the Thing and Roz, they believe it's a nod to Jack and his wife.
Sure.
Yeah. So towards the end of the movie, Ben Grimm, the Thing, enters the synagogue where Natasha's character, where Rachel is, and there's Jewish stars and kippot are everywhere, which is great. My big question here is the Thing Jewish in this movie?
Oh, you're burying the lead, Barack, which is that Judaism transcends dimensions.
Yeah.
Go on.
Well, this universe that this takes place in is different from the universe that we exist in.
Yes.
Therefore, Judaism transcends dimensions.
Oh, I see what you're saying. You're just excited that Judaism is now in a different Earth.
Judaism exists throughout the multiverse.
Yes. Great.
Assuming Judaism exists in the Earth that we've seen it in, because we haven't really seen it on full display.
That's why Sabra wasn't a big deal. There is no Judaism in that. There we go.
No, I don't accept that.
I don't like it.
So
okay.
Yeah. So here's the reason I'm asking is he does, like, there's so much stuff in the comics that have grown throughout the years, right? From the comic where the Thing first says the Shema and announces sort of to the comic book world that he's Jewish, right? He's got this Jewish star necklace that he holds in his pouch. He eventually, has comics where he lights a menorah, he wears a talit, he wears a kippot, he
smashes the glass at his wedding.
He, in the Spider-Man cartoon, blows the shofar and collects honey for Rosh Hashanah. Like, there's a lot of other elements where he is absolutely doing something for his Judaism. And this movie, he does nothing to that. He falls in love with a woman who happens to be Jewish. He's like, the closest we get is he walks on Yancey Street a lot, which in the comics is where he grew up and he lives. Yeah. So there's that nod. Yancey Street was very Jewish at that time in our Earth. Who knows about this Earth? But there's nothing, like, she says, "Are you here to pray?" And he says, "I'm here for you." Right? There's no acknowledgement of like, "Oh, it's nice to see you here again," or there's no indication that Ben has ever stepped foot in that building before. He is there for her. And I don't know if maybe there were any deleted scenes or something, but it's not blatant. And we've talked before about how, if somebody were to follow me around, would it be clear that I'm Jewish, right? I don't think so, unless they came to my house on Friday night and we were doing Shabbat. So
it would for me.
It would for right. It would for you. But the fact that he's falling in love with a Jewish woman in the movie, there's opportunity there for him to have like joined in a blessing or some other, like if he entered the synagogue, put on a kippah before he entered the room. So I don't know if there's other pieces, but it's not stated. So that big question of, is the Thing Jewish in this movie or not?
Here's my thoughts on this.
Yeah.
And they're a little sad.
Oh.
First, to acknowledge Rachel Rosman made up for the movie, and yes, a nod to Jack Kirby's wife Roz. Ben Grimm's wife in the comic books is Alicia Masters. She's blind, which fits his character of believing that he is a monster and thinking that he's ugly. So
Right.
marrying a blind woman helps him with his own confidence and his, you know, he felt more confident around her and was able to open himself up to loving her. So in the comic books, he's the Jewish one and she's not. I wonder if the reason they, if nothing more, tamp down or mute his Judaism is because of the way Jews are being viewed lately politically and how so many Jews are assumed to be connected to Israel somehow and therefore to blame for, or at least be apologetic for, what Israel is being accused of doing. And whether or not Israel is guilty or innocent or some or more likely somewhere in between of these is a subject for another time. But I think the brewing anti-Semitism in our world has to be acknowledged by the people who are trying to make money with a movie. And they need to be aware of how things will be perceived
Mm.
if they make their character blatantly Jewish. And that makes me sad.
So I have a couple of reactions. The first one is, Snoop Dogg, friend of the show, was in the news today complaining about how he had to explain, or it was something about how there were lesbians in the Lightyear movie, and he didn't want to, something about like his kid and having to explain that. And it brings me back to how important representation is in media. Yeah.
Well, so Ethan, you touched on something that was very similar to my next question was, does hinting at Jewishness without naming it strengthen or weaken the representation?
I have so many thoughts on this. So, on the one hand, he can be a Jewish character in that he clearly acts with Jewish values, which I would say, is seen and demonstrated in this film. He acts in a manner that makes me proud to be Jewish.
Yeah, I love the way he interacts with the kids. He's
Yeah.
like so very much the thing from the comics with kids. Like he's got this like big rock body, but such a soft heart.
Yeah.
So something that I think of, and you already brought up Star Trek, so it's not me bringing up Star Trek.
Oh, I did. I was like,
Yeah.
who mentioned Star Trek? It was my fault. I'm sorry.
Yes, it is. But like when we have like really long running genres or stories, be it Star Trek or comic books, what representation looks like changes over time. When I think of like, for example, LGBTQ representation in Star Trek, how it looked in the late 80s and 90s looks very different from how it does in the 2020s. It is so hard to grapple with this as a straight white passing Jewish guy, because on the one hand, like any representation that pushes the envelope or expands the envelope, I don't think is a bad thing. And yet it's still really sad to think that like just putting someone out there for being who they are is controversial. Like that also doesn't make me feel great.
Well, I'm trying to think of how they could have added in like, and so RDY, you know the thing a lot better than I do. Is he a character that would have either put on a kippah when he entered the synagogue or kissed the mezuzah on his way into the building? Like, are any of these minor actions that would have just hinted of his Jewish past things that he, or like he could have been, they would have sitting next to an oneg table and like, picked up a hummintash and was like, oh, I love these as a kid. My favorite flavor, right? Like, I don't know.
I think the fact that he was already wearing a hat and that it means
Right.
wouldn't feel the need to put on a kippah. I
Sure.
think kissing the mezuzah is a niche kind of activity more in the Orthodox world, and I don't imagine Ben Grimm as a hoodlum kid involved in the
Right.
Yancey Street Gang was raised Orthodox.
Right. They could, you know what they could have had? B'nai Mitzvah photos of the class, right? And him sort of like touching the pictures as he passed by of like reminiscing as he's entering this building of his childhood, as he facing his, possible death, like reflecting on his own life. That could have been a nice, easy passing hallway scene.
Yeah, it would require an extra shot and an
Yeah.
extra scene as well. It was a one room shot inside the shul.
No, I'm pretty sure I heard that they dropped a lot of footage on the cutting room floor, and so it's possible that maybe when we get deleted scenes, we'll have something in there. But
Maybe they always
Maybe
drop a lot
there
of
should have been a
yeah.
post-credit scene where he turns the camera and goes,
L'chaim.
"Shalom." Yeah.
What is that?
It's clever and Chaim.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, nice. Very nice. All right, great. Before I get to the sort of the summary for this episode, I did want to
Oh
say,
my gosh, sorry.
yeah,
Speaking of its clobber in time,
yeah,
the fact that he kept resisting
yeah.
saying clobber in time throughout the movie, maybe that's the screenwriter's psychological push as well. Like maybe they're avoiding a classic piece of the thing, just like the thing was avoiding a classic piece of himself.
Yeah, this is the next so the next piece I want to just see if there was any other like nice nods that people noticed. So I liked that him resisting it, like, no, that's just in the cartoon. I liked the nod. There's sort of a callback to the first Fantastic Four movie where the action figure is like over and over again. And I think it's a Johnny Storm figure that Johnny's playing with because he loves it. And then the thing smashes it in the first movie. And in this one, it's a Clobber in Time action figure that he smashes as like sort of a nod to that.
Yeah.
Any other nice nods you guys saw in this film?
I'm not well versed in the Fantastic Four.
Yeah, I'm thinking through. I mean, like all of the villains from the beginning
Yeah.
of the movie, the Red Apes, is that what they're called?
No, it was Red Ghost and his something apes. Red Ghost and the some
Right,
mighty something apes. I don't remember. But the Red Ghost was going to be played by
John
Don
Malkovich.
Malkovich. That hit the cutting room floor. So he
Right.
was filmed in that.
We do get his voice. You can hear his, and you go like, "Is that?"
Yeah.
Nah.
Hmm.
But also like the Mad Thinker,
Yeah.
Puppet Master, lots of great villains from the Marvel comic books are in there. And of course, at the very end, when we get our glimpse of the RDJ Doom.
Yeah. I'm excited for
So are
that. So.
we so are we thinking that the plot point might be that Doom takes Franklin and that's how the Fantastic Four end up teaming up with the Avengers?
I think just like Galactus wanted Franklin for his powers, I think Doctor Doom also recognizes in some reason or way that Franklin has great powers and he's going to utilize that. And maybe that creates the pocket universe that Secret Wars takes place in or something. Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know how they're going to twist this one.
Judging by the way I have guessed at every Marvel future plot from
Yeah.
the beginning of the MCU, I'm guessing that whatever I guess, I'll be wrong.
There's some other nods I saw that I'll share out. This one I didn't know off the top of my head, but Earth 828 is a nod to Jack Kirby's birthday, August 28th, which they
Yeah,
showed at the end of
August.
the they showed that at the end of the movie. The ship that launched the Fantastic Four into space at the beginning of their montage was called the Excelsior, not
I
to Stan
caught
Lee.
that.
Yep.
Yeah.
When the Silver Surfer flies into Times Square, it passes by a shot of two workers in an office building at Timely Publications. And so they're not named, but it's Timely Employee One and Timely Employee Number Two. So it's likely that they're referencing Jack Kirby and Stan Lee because Timely Publications was the original name of Marvel Comics.
Yep.
I'll do this one first. This is Natasha Lyonne's second character in the MCU. The first one was Birdie from What If Season 3, the baby of Howard the Duck and Darcy Lewis. And I thought she did a great job as that character.
I don't know that I saw that.
Oh, she was a fun character.
Was it the
Absolutely.
second season of What If?
No, Season 3.
Oh, geez. I
You didn't even
didn't
know this Season
even.
3. All right, here's the last one. And this one I caught, and I'm curious if you think this. All of the technology in the Baxter building looked identical to the technology in the TVA building.
For sure.
It was all round computers with the same type of
Mhm.
screens and the same coloring. And so
It was
I,
not the same coloring. The Fantastic Four was all blue,
oh,
and then
TVA was all orange. I thought there were some orange ones. It does, okay. But same shape, like identical to the TVA.
Totally.
Which I think, there are theories out there that Franklin Richards becomes, one of the Kangs that begins the TVA, or is at least in charge of the TVA in some sense, or started it. So that connection creates some question there of why does a TVA have this technology structure?
Interesting.
I think the technology there, like it was like the high tech but old timey at the same time.
Yeah.
And I think that leads to the TVA maybe getting their tech from Reed Richards at some point, because in this particular Earth, they've had it for a long time.
Right. That's all the stuff that I found. Anybody else have things? Any other Afikomen?
It's been too long.
Yeah. I didn't get to do a rewatch before this, but I thoroughly enjoyed it in the theaters. I hope you guys did too.
What's the next one? Is it Avengers that's next?
No, I think Spider-Man is next in July.
Really? This is a long wait for the next movie. I kind of don't mind that.
Yeah, the next movie is Spider-Man Brand New Day in July, followed by Avengers Doomsday in December next year.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we did just get Eyes of Wakanda, and Marvel Zombies is going to be coming out on Disney Plus soon also.
Fun. And there's going to be a Punisher series and a Daredevil Born Again too.
Yeah, nice.
It's going to be good.
Yeah. So while Abraham and Isaac and the Fantastic Four may come from different worlds, both force us to wrestle with sacrifice, family, and what it means to protect the future. Abraham's faith and Reed and Sue's defiance shows us two very different models of how parents respond to impossible choices. In both stories, the next generation carries the weight of survival and hope for a people. Although between us, carrying wood up a mountain sounds way easier than fighting Galactus.
I'd agree.
Yeah. Any other final thoughts?
I liked it. I'm excited to see more of them.
Yeah, I'm sure we will talk about the post-credits Thunderbolt scene in a few episodes. So
we will see you there.
Well, that'll do it for this episode of Torah Smash. Our fiscal sponsor is Jewish Creativity International. Our theme music was created by Sean Fogel. You can check out Sean's bands and studio work at www.thesleepywest.com. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to rate and review us wherever you listen. It helps others find us and is an excellent way to support the podcast. We want to hear from you and continue today's nerdy discussion. Go to torahsmash.com to find where to connect with us online, purchase swag from our store, support us with a donation, find previous episodes, and more. And what's Ben Grimm's favorite Hanukkah song? Rock of Ages.
La 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 la.
Yeah, this podcast doesn't like answering big questions. I am curious if there's a Torah Smash in Earth 828.
Why?
You're not curious if there's Torah Smash in Earth 828?
I thought you meant a topic pairing. You mean
No,
us.
I mean us. I mean this podcast. Is it us? Are we the ones doing Torah Smash in Earth 828?
Or do we call it something different?
Clobbering Torah.
Clobbering Torah.
Yes, it's Clobbering Torah.
Yeah.
Clobbering Torah is a podcast led by three women who are just, big nerdy fans of the Fantastic Four and things that they don't call comic books in their world.
Right.
Just their world.
It's, what it is? It's a rewatch podcast of the Fantastic Four TV show and analyzing the Jewish values of that show.
Ooh,
There you
that's
go.
good.
Yeah.